record. Good evening, everybody. Shredders Unite Business Call Thursday night, and thank you for joining me. This is a special night and something that I've been looking forward to. And you could say it was my good vibes. Maybe it started with Phil Collins. Maybe it was just the ER Shred energy. I don't know, but I just feel good. But what I'm excited about is I have three special guests this evening, and I need to silence myself. Okay. Mimi, make sure that didn't delete me on Facebook. I just closed it, but I think I'm sharing it with the group.
You're still live, but it's got that
Delay.
delay. Exactly. You're still there. We're good.
Okay.
I see
So
it.
just share it in the other groups. Okay, great. And I'll make
Got
sure
it.
it's public. One moment, guys, just one technical issue. We're not going to let Facebook do that to us.
Sean just
Yeah, and it
shared.
went to friends only. How about that? Public now. All right, guys, we're public. Everybody can view it, which is wonderful. We're good to go. As I was saying, welcome Thursday evening, Shredders Unite Business Call. This is the ER Shred. It's our business site, but it's basically more simple than that. This is literally where we get together as a group, as a community, and we discuss and share concepts and ideas, how we can pay it forward and get other people to join our bonfire, as Sean likes to say. He came up with this concept in the fall. I didn't really quite get it. So if you think of our community, our fulfillment company, we all have our own little teams, and each one has their little bonfire. Some bonfires are bigger than others, but everybody has their fire going. And we are exclusive. We love our little fire because it's our fire. Well, Sean came up with the concept of bring your fire over to my fire and let's build a bigger fire. And then maybe we'll get Susan to come over and bring her team and her fire, and it'll be a bigger fire. And what ends up happening is that our bonfire is the biggest, baddest, brightest, warmest, most inviting bonfire in all of the land. And as a result, everybody wants to be by our bonfire because we're having more fun. Anyway, that is the concept. It works, and it is working, but it wouldn't work if we didn't have an amazing system, which we refer to as the ER Shred. And we know everyone gets on our calls. We hear it. We've got wonderful Jesse Jamnick, who talks about the tracks to run on, the nutrition side, along with Susan Rothman, who's also on our healthcare board, and all the other wonderful people in our community sharing their testimonials on Wednesday night. Last night was another extraordinary evening. And so tonight, what I'm tasked with is I get to talk about business. And usually I love to talk about business, but I have to be honest with you. I told Sean today, talking finance and numbers and basically systems and how to go about the how-tos is boring, is all mud. I mean, it really is. I mean, finance class, come on, unless you really like the numbers. No, it's not exciting stuff. So ask any CPA. Bottom line is this. We are on a subject tonight, which I think is instrumental, and it is the key. It's the one thing that is the requirement in everything we do in life, and it's our mindset. It's what we think. We are what our thoughts are. And what's happening, and if you've noticed in our logo, we have ER Shred Come Alive. Thank you, Lenny Evans, coming up with that phrase, and that is, we have hit a height of euphoria, as Susan Rothman has said. We're literally in a state of euphoria at all times, that we're so excited, our vibrational energy is enhanced. And as such, we are attracting many people. So first of all, my first guest, I've got Karolyn Ward Davis. Karolyn Davis is on this evening, and bless her soul, she was the first person amongst all of us communicating to ourselves in little private conversations and phone chats. You feel good, I feel good. Man, this is really good stuff. Is it the butter? I don't know. I'm just feeling good. I don't want it to end. Karolyn Davis put it into words, and she wrote out a post, which was absolutely heartfelt. It was amazing. I thought, wow, this woman gets it. And she put it down in words, which I think is amazing. And the two things that jumped out to me immediately this evening, just looking at it, is if everyone felt as good as I do on this program, world peace would be a cinch. Pretty cool stuff. Kind of reminds me of Deepak Chopra and some of the other greats out there in terms of making the collective, getting us together to think alike, vibrating together with a higher aspiration. I feel so much more clarity and sensitivity to vibrational frequency, like others' emotional energy, good vibes, feel so extraordinary that it sometimes literally brings me to tears to my eyes. And whoa, my awareness even of the darker ones, is very palpable too, but it doesn't generate the panic it used to. We don't sweat the small stuff. So that's my piece. I'm going to end with that. I'm going to bring on Karolyn. And first of all, Karolyn, I'd like to know, how did ER Shred impact you, and what really triggered you to write this heartfelt post?
I think, well, it impacted me in every way, body, mind, and soul. And I felt it on every level. And I felt good to start with. That was what was so amazing to me. So many people they have that contrast of, dark to light, or feeling icky to feeling great. And I think that I felt really good when Shred came along. And I think that's why it came along. I feel like that sort of was the attraction factor for me when I saw that Lenny was doing this and bouncing off the walls and so enthusiastic about it. I was like, I want to be a part of that bonfire. So I was attracted to the energy of the group through the little tentacles of awareness that were kind of out there in the Facebook field. And I did the shred, and I felt like it just took everything to a whole new level. It took my spiritual awareness, my energy, my joy, my peace, my intuition. Everything just felt like it got polished up and brighter. And, I love the analogy of the bonfire, because that really, really captures it. And I just felt like my fire was burning brighter, but at the same time, I feel like this whole past year and a half, this phenomenon that's happening in the world, I noticed the contrast, the vibrational frequency contrast so much more. I'm so much more aware of when it's not resonant, when it's dissonant, and when it is. And it just feels I feel so resonant with the vibe of this community. And I felt like doing the shred it just really heightened my awareness of that whole vibrational frequency thing. It's like the quantum leap I was looking for.
What's interesting in what you just said is, think about it. All of us are obviously a victim of the pandemic. We're all in the shitter. We're all different levels of lockdown, fear, whatever. And our lives are upside down in terms, and we're social animals, but we can no longer be social, right? So where there's light, there's darkness. And when you think of the duality in life, if it's dark, the darker it gets, there has to be something that's a brighter light. It balances out. And isn't it interesting that ER Shred happens to be the bonfire that when Sean, I don't know, I'm going to ask this of Crystal next. I don't know if he thought of the bonfire shining brightly with that was the light, because of ER Shred, because we're awakening, because we are coming alive. One last question, I'm going to jump to Crystal, but since you touched on the energetic aspect of it, of the group and Lenny coming alive, was it the group's testimonials, the weight loss that attracted you to it, or was it the energy of the group that made you say yes to ER Shred?
Well, I have a lot of respect and affinity for Lenny, first of all, so if he was doing something and his energy is always so good, that shift in him, for him to get that much more excited about what we do that we've been doing, for years, really caught my attention. And so, no, I can't say that it was the weight loss. However, the fine tuning that happened in my body, that layer of fat that was kind of always there for years, it went away really fast, and that felt really good. And it's just kept getting better and better. But no, it was the energy. For me, the energy was the draw. It was this magnetic, like, you want to be a part of this. I was kind of floating around out there feeling like to be honest, a lot of relationships in my life changed over the last year and a half. And between being isolated because of just the conditions of what's happening in the world, and being on a journey of, when that whole thing first started, I decided I'm not going to go down that hole that I can feel trying to suck the life out of me. I'm not going to go down that hole. I'm going to choose to do what's good for me and choose to stay higher and better every day. And started walking every day and doing different things. And when this came along, it was like, this was the piece that that sort of up spiraling journey led me to. And it just gave me the peace in the chaos and the bonfire in the chilly environment that's out there in the world. It just felt right. It felt good. It feels like home. My soul just said, this resonates when I tapped into the community.
So let me ask you this, when you're vibrating at a higher level and you're glowing right now, right?
Thank you.
We all are excited. Is life easier or harder going day by day?
God, it's so much easier and so much better and richer. And I feel so much more alive. I mean, I just turned 60 since I started shredding, and I feel like, bring it on. I feel more alive and happier and healthier and more vibrant and excited to be alive than I ever have. And, shred's a big piece of it. It's not the whole thing, but it is a very, very key piece of it. I'm super excited to be a part of this community.
When did you last feel this good?
I don't think I've ever felt like this. I felt really, really good when I started Isagenix. And I think for 6 months to a year, I felt like I was high. And then I got used to that new higher stair step, it became familiar, and that became my new normal. And it was a good normal, and I stayed healthy and I felt good. And you can get to where you sort of take it for granted, I guess, after a while. 14 years is a long time to feel that good. I always say, nothing feels as good as feeling good, but, to be able to feel that good and still feel that quantum leap, that incredible jump, when I was already doing so much of this protocol, the pieces of it that were the conventional, that we've all been exposed to before, this was just a big shift, a big energetic shift for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm really grateful.
I'm trying to catch up to you, but I never used to openly say this with such enthusiasm, but I turned 60 in December this year, and I'm fired up. I'm excited, but my wife always, because I'm a December birthday, I mean, literally it's December 15th. My wife would always say come January of the new year, oh, you'll be 60 this year. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, time out. I got a whole year ahead of me. That's not even fair. You're stealing from me. And now all of a sudden I want to jump ahead and tell people I'm 60, which I'm not yet, because I honestly, like you, never felt this good before. And how do you articulate, how do you even describe that to somebody else, right? I mean, that's the hard part. So we feel next level. All right, I'll be back to you, Karolyn, in 1 second. So Crystal, come on board. Crystal, as a co-founder with your wonderful husband, Sean, you were the first to experience this crazy thing called ER Shred. When you first did it initially, I know you were coming to it from a physical aspect of getting your digestion and your story, and you can share a little bit with us tonight, but did you come alive, and did you sense a change in your vibrational energy? And I know you're steeped in this kind of stuff. When you and Sean arrived at this, what was the aha moment that you said, oh my God, this is our bonfire and we're going to build it?
I think really the whole simplifying aspect of it was something that I never experienced with my diet, because my diet is always so overwhelming and complicated, and I was always trying to make little tweaks and adjustments and reading all the different information, and it always felt like this overwhelming, confusing part of my life, and it was very complicated. And so the part that was the most impactful for me was the fact that I was simplifying my diet so much so that I felt like I was making space for new things in my life. And so that's how I would define the awakening aspect of it, because it was really letting go of so many different things that were taking up my energy. And so to let go of all of that stuff around my diet and really be so simple, so baseline, I didn't have to think about my diet as much anymore. And it was like I had this entire day, and I felt like I had given myself more hours in the day. And then the whole, Sean and I even today was talking about our mindset a year ago when we first started sharing this. And to be honest, I did not realize that this was going to have the kind of impact that it has had. I thought, great, like people are going to say great with results with their weight and their skin and their energy, but I didn't know that it was going to like spill over into like this, the whole mental and emotional and spiritual. I didn't realize that it was going to bring people alive in that sense. And to now be doing this for a year and every Wednesday getting to hear all these testimonials, I'm just like, more and more, I'm just blown away at what's happening. But I did not foresee that this is the kind of impact that it was going to be having on people. I just thought like, cool, we found a new way that, you know, like actually works. But it's been so much more than that. And it's been really exciting to see it unfold. And then even with Sean and I and our relationship and the things that we're kind of unpacking, because we've been able to let go all of the noise in our own awakening and realizations about ourselves and about life and purpose. And it's like so much bigger. And I feel like we're having these deep, meaningful conversations on the daily. And we're finally like having so many breakthroughs, like more breakthroughs within this past year, like within our relationship alone than I've ever really had. And so that's a pretty cool thing to kind of take the entire year and see how much we have changed in 1 year, how much we have unpacked together. And like, I just feel like we have really been growing. Our personal development side has really been unfolding in such a beautiful way. And I definitely believe now that it was clearing out the junk in, so like metaphorically, and really making space for us to be much more aware of ourselves, like why we do what we're doing, why we get angry, like really being able to take a step back and analyze ourselves even more so that we can actually improve upon ourselves.
Have you noticed, since you've touched on this subject, have you noticed, like, you know, in the past for myself personally, I'd put walls up. Like, you know, I'd get close to certain people depending upon the relationship and who they were, but I always had a safety there that it was like, okay, I'm protected here. I'm not going to totally be transparent with them because, and this has kind of brought me a clarity, or maybe it's a comfort that I have in myself where I've let the walls come down. And that's not scary to me anymore. I can just be me. And I can be more present with the person that I'm with, be it with my wife, with my stepkids. I'm not getting angry as quickly. I mean, have you noticed something similar to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it really does slow us down in some way. Like it's almost like we're able to put things on slow motion so that we have the chance to catch ourselves before we react. And so that's where I feel like somehow it has caused us to kind of pause more, slow down, flow more. Like that's been a big thing for us, is just flowing with our days and not feeling so much anxiety about, oh, we got to get this and this done. And like, we got to set these goals. And it just feels every day I'm just so enjoying our day because we are both kind of in this mindset of flowing. Because I think the ER shred, when COVID first hit, and we talk about this a lot, Sean and I, when we talk about how we started kind of putting the pieces together with the ER shred, we made the decision that at that time when we were everybody's whole world has been shifted and disrupted. And so it really, I think it was a gift. I really do think that the whole thing that we're going through with that COVID and all that, I'm trying not to say the word so often. I think Facebook like does something, but that was really the beginning of ER shred for us, I feel, because it caused us to, it shook things up enough in our life to cause us to really question, like, wait a minute, what are we doing with our lives? And kind of take a step back and really have that time of introspection. And so there were a lot of conversations had during lockdown, and we really started believing that we were going to be doing something in the near future. We were going to be doing something so unique and different. And because of our belief in that, and because of actually doing something, deciding that we were going to do something completely different, that's really, I think, the beginning of how it started to come together. And then to be putting out the fact, you know, to everybody, all of our friends and family and in ER Shred to say, okay, we're going to be just eating meat. Like we knew that that was going to be a shocker for people, but we're like, we're totally ready to just start doing things completely different. And I feel like that was the beginning. ER Shred is the beginning, but now I'm seeing how we're doing that in so many different areas of life where we're just like, how can we do this completely different? And so that's where I feel like our creativity has come back online, where we're just seeing things different. It's like we're taking something in life and we're twisting it in all different ways so that we can actually look at things differently instead of just seeing it. It's like the 3D image, we can look at it from all different sides, as opposed to before, everything is just so flat. And so, yeah, that's how I would describe our mindset shifting, and how it has spilled over into other areas of our lives, because we're looking at how we can perhaps try something completely different and thinking outside of the box in other areas of life.
So when you started the ER Shred, I know you were in search of something, but you pretty much did this in support of Sean. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I was fed up with my vegan diet. I was not feeling good. I felt like I didn't see any, not only did I not see any results, but I felt like I had gotten sicker because of it. My skin got worse. So I was totally at my wit's end with my diet. So when Sean told me this concept, I completely laughed and was like, well, I'm ready to try anything at this point, because I'm so fed up with what my result right now.
I think that's the most, I was vegan because I was told to do it. I couldn't handle it. My wife, thank God, finally said, after like the 8th week, that's it. You're complaining too much. I'm making you chicken tomorrow. And you're eating some protein. And it literally, I wasn't in as much pain. But Crystal, what I wanted to ask, this is the thing that I think is the beauty of ER Shred, is that when you and Sean did this, you had a concept of two things. One, you wanted to improve your health. You had your skin, you look beautiful now. Your skin looks amazing. Sean, I know, had his gut issues that he's been very public about, his digestion. But one of the main drivers is that he wanted to rebuild what we once had with our fulfillment company in terms of the culture. And he just thought, if we can create something simple and easy and I can make it fun, then we can recreate that culture, and I'm good at that. And at the time, the pieces of ER Shred weren't put together yet, but it was that ongoing discussion. So what I'm getting at is I'm starting to recognize that when the true genius, when magic occurs, is when we put an intention out to the universe, to God, to our source, with a question, but we don't put an expectation on it as if we're saying, I'll do this, but I want this in return, or I have an expectation. And when it doesn't happen, I'm disappointed. I'm set up for a lower vibration. And I think what you and Sean did, you were the first, is that you put out an intention. A couple of us were part players, just, hey, that would be wonderful, that culture, etc. But we didn't anticipate the outcome with the mental clarity and the vibration, and then really the health aspects that we're starting to see that are just mind blowing, right? We can't even explain it. That's the beauty. That's the genius. And did you or Sean ever think that that was going to happen?
No, not at all. Like I said, I thought it was just going to be a great way to get healthier. I had no idea that it was going to be so empowering on a spiritual level. And it's just beautiful to see people coming on the Wednesday night calls and getting emotional, not about their weight, but about how happy and how good they're feeling, and just how I think it is a hard thing for many of us to describe. It's like the emotion, you see the emotion coming out on people, but what they're trying to express because you felt it. But I do find that many of us are having a hard time describing, what is this shift? It's different. It's more than my weight loss. It's more than my physical results. And so it is really cool to see that like everybody is talking about that.
So at the last question, and we'll jump to Susan, is how does that make you feel when you hear the other stories of people having their ahas or epiphanies?
Well, it for sure makes me feel emotional too, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And this is like having a really awesome effect on people. So it's just, it makes me feel so good to be, we all want to have like a mission and a purpose in life. And I feel like that is feeling that need for me. And I know many of you guys as well. It's like, oh my gosh, this feels like such a gift. Like, how could I not share that with other people? And how could I it's just such a gift to be able to, when you do share it, the impact it's going to have on their lives. And to be a part of that is really fulfilling for me.
That's amazing. Susan, you're next. Now, my good friend, we've talked about this subject a lot, but I didn't have the kahunas that Karolyn had to write that post.
Yeah, I love that, Karolyn.
That was so
Yeah,
amazing.
Great.
But she put it out there, quickly took it down, but we encouraged her like, what? Whoa, wait, time out. That was really, really
So
good.
good you saw that.
And no, I was like blown away. And I'm like, this is it. And I was like so excited, and then it was gone. And I'm just grateful that because of the way Facebook works and we were connected, I was able to shoot her a message and, oh, what happened to that? And she put it back up again, because it is truly a blessing and it has us talking about it. So with that, you've spent your whole life on this in terms of working with women's hormones, your thyroid, in terms of feeling healthy, what we can do from a natural aspect and more of a holistic level, right? If I'm saying it properly. When you did the ear shred, you kind of came in about the same time we all did last October. What was your expectation as a science health professional?
Well, I didn't really have one other than I adore Sean, and he was everywhere. And, it's been a rough year and there was not too much happening, as far as, anything with Isagenix, like Karolyn said, I didn't have that initial feeling anymore. And I lost my excitement, and I'm passion driven, and results driven. So I figured I would try it, and I was blown away. So of course the weight loss, but that's not what hit me. What hit me was what happened to my brain and feeling lit up. And then where I'm at with this now is I'm seeing the results in others. And then what I did, because I am a health professional, is I tracked my blood work from October every 90 days. And I saw what was happening. And even though those levels were good, they kept improving and improving and improving. So I had proof of concept. And what I'm finding now, and I love Karolyn's post because we have been talking about this a lot, Bob, and it's conscious eating. So just in saying the word conscious brings in the trinity of body, mind, spirit. So they all go together. So whether you want to call it high vibrant or raising your vibration, every cell in your body is listening to that. So what's happening and what I'm seeing for myself over time, and I'm a big proponent of radical personal responsibility. Like, where is mine in here? What's mine? What's not mine? And all of that. And what I noticed after doing the ER shred for this long, there's a pause in my operating system. So if I have a thought, and then I can say, wait a second. In other words, instead of being in the thought, I can be above the thought, watching the thought and saying, why are you choosing this? Which is allowing me to grow in such a powerful way. And I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of people. And I think that that's the piece that we can't language because it's been lost.
So when Crystal said the world was slowing down, it's not that the world's slowing down. It's almost like you're in the zone. So for example, I remember football play like it was yesterday. I'm wide open. I make the cut. I'm in the end zone and I look up, and it was a night game on a Friday night, and I could see a perfect spiral going right towards me. And like everything stopped. The crowd, I couldn't hear anything. And it was silence, but my intention was so focused on that ball that I didn't hear a sound until after I caught it.
Well,
do you see what I'm saying? So
yes,
when she said the world slowed down, the world didn't slow down. I think your body's processing ability has sped up so that you can be above your thought and actually process it before you actually react. Is that true? What do you think?
You talking to me?
Yes, Susan, I'm talking to you.
I think it's actually, yes, and I think you did a really great job in describing a Zen moment. When you're in the moment and time stands still. So you're in the flow of life. So yes, I think that's a great explanation of it. And Crystal language that she's flowing, she's in her life. So yes.
So
Just real quick to add to that, because I said that we are all having a hard time describing it, but I did want to mention again that Karolyn, when you did that post, I was like, I got emotional because Sean read it to me. He's like, you got to read this. And he read it and I got emotional. I'm like, oh my gosh, like she just put it into words. Like, and that's why I got so emotional. I'm like, she did that so beautifully. You really described what we are all feeling. And then Susan, what you just said as well, I was like, yes, we're figuring out the language of what it is that we're feeling and tapping into. So it's a cool thing.
And I think as we keep languaging this and alluding to it in the group, for people that, they never thought about this before, it might be something new, that we're planting seeds and awakening consciousness. And so now who would have thought that this would have been that? And then of course, there's so many reasons why this could contribute to mindset shifting, whether it's physiological, spiritual, it's all in there together, because when the body's well, feels well, the mind goes with it, and the spirit has to follow. They all go together. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. I have a question real quick. Do you think, is there an order in which we find the balance? Do you think it has to start with your diet, or it could start in anywhere in the mind, body, and soul?
When I was working with people and working with nutrition, I have always said it all goes together. So I'm not sure about the mind body piece, what goes first, but you can't have a clear mind with a toxic body. So I would say it's body, mind, spirit. And that's where it would have to start.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the best, the spot, the place that we can start, where we feel like we have the ability to.
And
diet is a little too overwhelming. Like, I don't know where to start.
Diet is integral because it has to be part of that picture, because it's vibrational and you're putting the microcosm and the macrocosm, those energies are going to meet at some point. So I think that's a very important piece, and then clearing ourselves, and then we rise up to it. And it has to be diet, because even the word, when we think about nourishment, and for a lot of us growing up, we grew up in our parents' kitchen. There was always something about nourishment and being nourished. So if you really think about that deeply, spiritually, dietary, like that's the core. So yes, I agree with you, Crystal. It starts with diet.
Really cool. That's really cool.
for all of us that all three of us here, collectively four of us, we've been in for a long time with our fulfillment company. And I think the funny thing about this is that I would argue that I did eat healthy. I mean, when I was vegan, I was eating healthy. When I was having my macros, where it was more like the zone diet, 30-30-40, but it was vegetables, balanced, protein with healthy fat, I thought I was eating healthy. And every now and then 10%, oh yeah, I would have a beer, or I'd have a piece of pizza once in a blue moon type thing. But my healthy, that 80-20 following, or, following the protocol the way I did, obviously didn't serve me, because this stuff we're doing is totally next level, to the point where what attracted me initially was your husband being so emotional, sharing his journey and getting teary-eyed. I'm thinking, damn, I go, that's not Sean. I mean, what the heck's going on with him? And he joked with me and he said, don't worry, you do this. He goes, you'll be crying on Facebook too. And I went, yeah, right. I go, I'll make a bet on that. That's not going to happen. And sure enough, it occurred when my wife made me leave my sheltered group where I posted in my group, my bonfire, right? And that's my safe place. And she said, no, that was a great thing, but go out there to go public on your main page. And then all of a sudden I had to be open and honest to the public. But I got emotional at the point when I was trying to explain that I was a better husband and I was a better stepdad. And there's a change in me and I can't explain it. But rather than I was getting frustrated, I'm like, honey, you got to tell people how good I am, that I'm a changed person. And it got me emotional for the same things that you are all saying tonight. And that is, like Peter has said, you don't know how good you can feel until you can look backwards and understand how bad you felt. I had no idea you could feel this good. So much so that I guess it's a great place to start with questions. People look at us like we're nuts. Like, well, how long are you going to stick with that? And when are you going to go back to eating normal again? And for me, it's like, screw that. I don't want to ruin my buzz. So I really, truly look at every food item I put in my body and say, if that takes me down a notch, I don't go there again. I just want to keep my vibration up. And I think someone mentioned it tonight. Was it you, Karolyn, who talked about nourishing yourself with high vibrating foods? Or Susan, was that you? I did read that today.
Say that again, Bob.
Nourishing yourself, eating high vibrating foods versus low vibrating foods.
Karolyn, wasn't that you?
Maybe. I talk that way all the time.
But isn't that kind of what we're doing? And who would have thought? Now, red meat, based upon the media and what we've been told, red meat was as low vibrating as being really in the ditch. You just can't do that. Maybe once in every 6 month thing. I'm not doing my blood work as much as you are, Susan, but close. But I think the extraordinary thing is that the blood work is blowing my doctors, at least. They can't figure this thing out. I feel good. And that was the last missing piece. So I felt so damn good. It's like, are you going to have another steak? Yep, I'm having another steak until I'm proven wrong. And then when the blood came back and it's getting better and it's getting, and I'm feeling better than I ever have in my life, I'm like, well, I'm not stopping eating steak. I mean, why would I eat a less or lower vibrating food? So how do you feel, Susan, when you talk about with Jesse, and we do want to incorporate vegetables and other foods that are no longer culprits, but talk about the empowering aspect of what this diet allows people.
Look, I don't see this diet as any restrictions. So it's a lifestyle. And then if you want to add back in vegetables, me over the year, what I've learned is to keep things simple. Keep things simple because there's a payoff. The payoff is I feel better. I'm more energetic. I have more clarity. And I'm satisfied. I used to eat when I was bored. So I find that I'm really satisfied. So as far as adding back things back in, I think, and I agree with Jesse, what he said, these people like, oh, I fell off. It's bullshit. So that's a self-development thing. Either you want to feel good or you don't want to feel good. So there are people that throw themselves into bad choices. But for most of us, we're seeing a clear correlation with what we're putting in our mouth and how we're feeling. So, it's adding things back slowly. Now, for me, I don't agree with the guys because I am a foodie. I do like to go out to eat. But what I know today is that there are farm to table. I know I can pick restaurants with quality foods. And would I come across a culprit? Absolutely. And but it's not happening a lot. And so my point here is this is a lifestyle that can take you anywhere. You can be in any situation. You can always find something to eat and you can have some flexibility. So the bringing back foods, again, is slow and mindful. And that's the consciousness piece of all of this, to be empowered. And that's the part, and I know Crystal probably feels the same way. Well, we all do. It's like, that's the part we want people to get, like, do this for yourself. Give yourself this gift so that you can take yourself anywhere and know what your food blueprint is.
Mm-hmm.
I think, go ahead, Crystal.
Well, it might be a little off topic. So you go first, Bob, because I have a question about the high vibe foods. So.
Well, I mean, it kind of, I'll probably go hand in hand, but this is one thing I wanted. Here's one of the associations. My wife was talking about, is it tomato? Was it the nutrition to the body first physically, and then the mind opened up, or was it the mind first? I did a lot of mind work, but I'll be honest, in my view, something was wrong with my gut health. I was out of balance. And I think that this elimination reset, going to red meat and getting to the baseline and then adding some things back in slowly. And thank goodness we've got the incubated shakes and we're getting our nutrition. Things are just clicking. My body's working. So my mind opened up. So what you could say is that if you have a culprit, Susan, and you have bloat or you're not feeling good, you could say that that food is more or less that's toxic to you. It may not be toxic as in a toxin, but it's a culprit. Correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a toxin, but depending on the reaction, I had autoimmune disease. So if I ate gluten, I would itch. My one arm, this one area right here would itch. And I kind of tapped into that because I've tried so many diets and all that the years doing this. But I also believe that the longer you interact with this protocol, the deeper the healing of the gut occurs, and down the road, more foods will open up. Now, of course, we're choosing foods that are food. The problem is in this country is we eat a lot of non-food, and that's what's causing, epidemic diabetes and heart disease and mood disturbances. I mean, the mood disturbance is tragic. And it's from those foods. And I don't know that I would consider meat high vibing. There are energetics to food. I've done every diet. I actually did even macrobiotics. You want to talk about annoying umibashi plums and stuff. But I mean, shopping for that but I wanted to experience everything as a holistic practitioner. So I don't know, the energetics of food, like chicken is fast and irregular. So if you're fast and irregular, maybe not so much chicken. Meat is slow and steady. But I think what's the bigger, so that's more the esoteric and.
Well, that's the question I was going to have, Susan, was when I was like trying to study the esoteric stuff, and I was really into that for a while. That's why one of the motivations to be vegan was like learning about the different vibrations of food. And I was like, oh yeah, like vegetables and fruit has really high vibe. So then that's what got confused me about it all, because I really wanted to believe in this vibration and energy, and food has a vibration as well. But then when meat was on the list as a low vibe food, but then the results are opposite to that, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. So
How much of that though? How much of that is
Can I
the
say
bottom?
something about that?
yeah.
Okay, so check it out though. And I used to try and explain this to people like with candida and yeast overgrowth. Okay, so think about the vegan diet. It's cold and damp, right? It's cold and damp. So over time, cold and damp, you're gonna have a problem. Whereas the meat is, I don't know that I would, it's really interesting how we like in this country, let me just get this out, Bob. In this country, how we like to separate everything out, where other cultures have a reverence for food and they know what it is they're dealing with. So meat is ancestral. It's like DNA. It's what we're supposed to be eating. Fat adapted is a natural thing. So we want to say, well, this and that, but it's who we are. So that's how I look at that. So would I say it's a high vibration? I also think everything changes when you look at grass-fed.
That was my question. So
Amen.
Susan, and for everybody here, now that we've been foodies with grass-fed meat, I can tell and taste the difference and sense it immediately if I don't have grass-fed, meaning if I have pasture raised, it's been grass-fed, then we feed it corn and soy, whatever, to fatten them up. That meat, I can tell right away. That is to me like low energy. It's like, ooh, something's not right. So if I have a good piece of grass-fed meat where the cow is eating its natural diet, and it's a happy diet, and it's how the cow is treated and processed, I think it has a lot to go into it.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me about it was from last night with the woman that started the conversation with the woman from Vermont, with the happy cows, the dairy cows.
Yes.
And then the purple said, I was on a buffalo farm and how the buffalo were treated. And the people, he knew the names of the actual animals and how they were raised and treated and how ethically, they were processed. I think it has a lot to do with it. But let's go to the belief woo-woo stuff. So here I am, clean my diet up, and I'm feeling good physically, and I'm functioning better sleep, energy, so on, right? All of a sudden, my biggest habit, which probably would have taken some severe psychotics to get me off of, is I quit watching the news. And as a financial broker, I watch the news 24/7. I literally, and I did this because this was my life forever. I couldn't get that out of my system. And even though I thought I did less than what I was before, I know that Allison looked at me like, oh, dear God, he's watching CNBC, Fox News, CNN, doesn't matter. He's literally a news junkie and he has it going on all the time while he's doing his other stuff. I quit watching it November 2nd. And right around the elections, I didn't even watch the damn returns. I just said, you know what? I don't even watch that stuff anymore, because it felt like it felt as bad to me emotionally as if I was I was eating corn chips, or gluten, I'm saying, so there was that association of how I started to view the world and what I was willing to allow in or give energy to. I dismissed, and I have turned off the news, and I watch it like maybe once or twice since then to kind of just turn it on to see if the TV works. How about you guys? Do you notice a change in terms of what you consider a toxic environment and what you think is value add versus that's detracting from you?
Well,
I can speak to that for a second. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Karolyn.
I was going to say, I know for sure over the past year or, so Sean and I together have been a little more conscious of the people that we associate with and the certain relationships that we felt like we're supposed to be a certain way and we're supposed to be around them. But getting to a place of empowerment around that, like, no, it's okay if I don't want to be around this person because that person kind of disturbs something in me. So I think for us, certain relationships we've been able to kind of take a closer look at and make decisions on like boundaries and whether or not we feel like that relationship is of use for our life now.
So Karolyn.
I feel the same thing. I feel like I'm more sensitive to resonance in everything, in my food, in my relationships, in the content that I'm consuming on television or on the internet, or even, sometimes the vibe of walking through the grocery store and the people that I pass. I mean, I just feel that antenna is so keen, picking up energy. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that I've always kind of had a tendency to do this. My family's very into television, and it's kind of food and television is love in my house. And so I'm not so much, but I will sometimes sit on the couch to be with them when they want to watch something. And I don't usually get to choose what to watch because I like woo-woo stuff. I like feel-good stuff. And that's not what my family really wants to see. But what happens to me is I just fall asleep. My brain just goes, nope, not intentionally, but it just goes, and I've wondered, what is that? Because they kid me about it so much, but it's just no. I can say no while saying yes in a way. And it's just a strange phenomenon, but very, very in agreement with Crystal on the relationship thing. As a matter of fact, this is not a very nice thing to say, but it's a phenomenon more than like a name or calling someone names, but energy vampires, there's that. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because I had an encounter recently with someone who was very, very close to me in junior high and high school. And through the years, there was a real shift, and she had a sad life. Like, it's been a really hard journey for her. And it got to where being around her really sucked the life force out of me, even though I loved her and I wanted to be there for her. It just like hurt me to be in the room with the frown and I call it Eeyore energy. And I was around her and it's changed. She's back. Her energy is back. And it was such a pleasure and so exciting to be sitting next to her and not feeling like I was, sucked down the drain by that energy.
You're saying that beforehand your energy would be drained by being around somebody like that, but now you feel more
fortified
of
Yes.
be around that person, but
Yes.
not letting your energy just.
Absolutely. My boundaries are healthier than they've ever been. I mean, I know that through life, I've been a pleaser and a codependent sort of personality. I always wanted to rescue people and fix anything that was broken. And, I think the truth of the matter is there was something in me that was broken. And once I tended to that, I didn't have that need to fix everybody else who's on their own journey. I can respect their journey. I can bless and release and feel good. If we're not resonant, I can let go with grace rather than with angst or, feeling like I did something wrong by not showing up for them or whatever. And it's just a softer energy around relationships that aren't resonant. But yes, I feel like I feel protected and fortified, and I have healthier boundaries, and I'm aware of the shift in other people's energy, as well. So that was kind of a twofold thing, but she was different.
That is
And
really
I was
cool
different.
for her to be influenced by your high vibration. Like that is cool because
maybe
I like how you define that. It's like you were able to be more fortified with protecting your energy so that when you are around that person, you're not getting sucked or drained, but you can be that light for that person to help lift her up. So that's really cool.
I heard it described once, and this is really profound to me and really simple, like a radio dial. You tune your radio dial to your station and don't let it get pulled to match their frequency. It's a frequency, right? It's like a radio frequency. Keep your station, firm instead of matching. And I think that codependent energy, it's so easy to go match somebody's energy. I was like a chameleon before. I'd match whoever energy was around, and that's draining. It drains your energy and your life force.
Whenever Sean was in a bad mood, I'd get in a bad mood. Whenever
Yeah.
I was in a bad mood, he'd get in a bad mood. But we have noticed that, and like that's one of the things with our relationship is we can be there for each other, but we don't need to be. We don't
have to join it.
They don't need to join, but we can help each other in that way. So
and you can lift each other up passively, almost that way, by staying in your own high vibe rather than stooping or matching or draining to theirs. They either go away or they come to yours,
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool stuff.
I
actually.
like that. Yeah.
Empowering
Susan,
is the word.
Susan, do you notice anything with your relationships or how you interact?
My boundaries are much clearer, and I'm able to choose. I call them low vibers. And what I'm guilty of is I know that I can be too much and I have a lot to say and, all of that. And what I would do is I would be with this one group of people and I would come down to where they were. I'm not doing that anymore. And as far as the news, this has been, and I think probably both Crystal and I think we can all relate to this. I'm somewhat empathic, and we saw a lot of horrible things this last 2 years. And after ER Shred, I'm better able to not only equip with it, but I would like certain things I would go, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, where I finally got to a place where, no, this is what it is. I made my own decision. I find it easier to make a decision or have an opinion about something instead of vacillating. And my boundaries are so much better. And also, you're describing parasitic energy. I don't have a lot of that in my life anymore. And I think this last year was really a catalyst for a lot of us to reevaluate things. And of course, that is painful. So I would say just all of that is better.
Yeah.
I have a question for all three of you. And this is, I know we're getting closer to the top of the hour. I think this is a great place to end. And by the way, guys, we're going to continue this conversation because I think this is the meat and potatoes of life, of what makes the world go around. And we're going to get into the conversation of law of attraction and like attracts like. And I've experienced this at a whole nother level now with ER Shred, but I was always aware of it from an energetic feeling. And people can always feel when there's that Eeyore or Debbie Downer in the room that tries to pull your energy down. But I also had the feeling of, and I like how Sean puts that it's good to be a superhero, is that if I can come at a high enough vibration, it's almost like you can't touch me. And what I've noticed is that high vibrating people will attract other vibrating people, but those energy vampires can't deal with you very long. They're going to run. They run for cover.
Right.
So one of the things
Absolutely.
that Sean talks about is that, hey, we're going to attract the right people to our community. Just watch. The right
Right.
people will show up. And I think that's the beauty of our community, is that we are attracting people that are high vibing, good-hearted, empathetic, heart-serving people that just care about one another, regardless of, are you on my business or are you making whatever? There's none of that, right? So I guess the question becomes, now that you're higher vibrating, how are you attracting more abundance into your life? Or is it just the fact that because you're higher vibrating, you're not noticing as much of the garbage? But I mean, that's a big part of this, is that all three of you mentioned gratitude at some point. And I've read where gratitude, they say, is the highest vibrating energy out there. There's love and then there's gratitude. And when we share and support or help one another elevate our game, either be it through the ER shred or even introducing people to our community, the gratitude is when they have success, it lights us up even higher. I mean, we shine even brighter, right?
Right.
So how has this impacted you, all three of you, in terms of how you show up and how are you sharing what's happening in your world? That is the air shred. You're a different person. You're showing up differently.
I'll go first because mine's real quick, but I do notice that I'll say something that I want and then it just shows up in some way. And like little things, just last weekend we went on a date and it was like 3 different things happened that night. It was just like the intention that I wanted, just put it out there. I got it all and it's simple. Like I wanted to buy the pollen, the bee pollen, because I was like looking into the bee pollen and I was like, oh, I need to buy some, but I want to look into that more and find a really good quality source. And on our way out for a date, Sean and I passed this guy selling honey on the side of the road, and it was local and like raw, and I got my bee pollen and stocked up on the honey and the honeycomb, and I was just like, I got my bee pollen, and just little things like that. And then that night we went up to this mountain in our area that's like a little bit cooler. We wanted to get out of the heat, and I was like, oh, I want to go to I want to have like a steak dinner tonight with a glass of wine, which is what I allow myself to have every once in a while. And this place that we went to on a hike was like way out, far away from all restaurants, but there was this one little tiny restaurant that happened to be open. It's just a seasonal restaurant, open for the summer, and it was open. We got right in. I got my steak dinner, and even this couple, they were leaving the restaurant as we were going in, and she had a bottle of wine. She had poured one glass. She brought in her own alcohol because they just have like a corking fee. So she's like, here, and she hands me her bottle of wine, and I'm like, I got everything I wanted tonight: my honey, my steak, and my wine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Susan, Karolyn, who'd like to go next on what you're
I
tracking
could
in your
go.
life?
I definitely noticed a difference. I mean, like right after I did the ER shred, I was lit up, and like all these people are just like, well, what's going on with you? Like it revitalized my whole business. And, and then I got a group of women walking together. And so absolutely, it's, and like you said, Bob, there are people that are watching all of this and they're like standoffish. And I used to think, well, they don't like me, but they're not like me. And but it's planting a seed and they see it. And I said this on one of the calls, like this one girl, she never comments on anything on Facebook, nothing. And then we sit down to dinner. I haven't seen her in a year. And she says to me, so what about the CR shred thing? So people watch. So I know, and that's part of me not dumbing it down anymore. This is who I am. This is what I do. I'm very passionate about it. And so for me, it's attracted a lot of abundance in meeting new people, bringing people into my life to revitalize my business, which revitalized my income. Even when I work in the functional medicine office, I'm more bold about sharing this because I know that we have something here. I have no doubt in my mind that can change people's lives. And so I'm like, Jesse, don't mess with me. This is the deal.
Karolyn,
I love it.
how has this impacted your life from higher vibrating? Are you seeing a change in what you're attracting into your world?
Absolutely, in every way, on every level. My business feels completely different. It was basically just flat before, and it's, I mean, organically, people are showing up and saying, "Oh my gosh, you are just so, vibrant, and I really, what are you doing?" And I want to try some of that, and it's not a lot of that yet, but I think, like Susan said, people are noticing and people are paying attention. But the real interesting thing for me was when I went back home to Virginia. I'm in California. I went back home to Virginia, and I was around people from high school who I was a nobody to them. I mean, honestly, I barely knew these people in school, and the magnetism, just the frequency of the get-togethers, the relationships, and the feeling welcomed and feeling loved and feeling accepted was just so palpable and so different than anything I've ever really experienced with that group of people. I always felt like the outsider, and I felt like I really felt like a part of that group. And just like Crystal was saying, that sort of manifesting what you think of and what you put out there, that's been happening a lot. I mean, when I take my hikes every day, I'll think, oh, I'm thinking of a hawk, and a hawk shows up, or I see the moon. I mean, yeah, there's just beautiful signs in nature everywhere showing up all the time, and they all have a meaning for me, and I know what they mean, when they show up. So it's kind of woo-woo, but it's definitely real.
I love all that woo-woo stuff though.
Me too.
No, it's beautiful.
It's amazing what happens in life when you pay attention, when you're
Yeah.
clear and you're paying attention, and
Clear
where
and
it
paying
takes you.
attention. Yes.
Tuning
clear.
in.
That's like the big word. Like it just clears out all the junk. So now you can see what was always there,
Right.
but you just couldn't see it because your vision was fogged up.
And
Absolutely.
that's one other thing I want to say about that, that we're noticing all of this and we're clear, my word is clearing. So, but we have to understand too, when we're out and about in our lives, there are a lot of pockets of people, they don't know what health really feels like.
Yeah.
And so when they see that, it's polarizing for a moment. They're not sure what they're looking at, which is a shame, which is part of the reason we keep going.
Absolutely.
So I know we're at the top of our hour. We could go on for another hour, but we're going to do this again, guys.
Thank you,
And
Bob.
since this is a
So
business
fun.
Yeah.
since this is a business call, I want to leave it on a simple note. So there's a lot of people out there that maybe they're thinking, wow, these guys are woo-woo, and we're really going off the deep end with some of this law of attraction stuff. But they used to teach this in sales schools. And this comes back to the years when Xerox sales training was like the it thing to go through. And then it was IBM sales training in the 80s, before really the PC got started. And what they would always tell their salesmen is that the best time to make your next sale is after the sale you just made. Meaning that as soon as you make a big sale, you're vibrating and you're excited and you're energized, and they want you to get right back on the phone again, because that's the next chance you're going to get a good sale, because you're vibrating at such a high frequency. You're going to be more attractive to the person you're talking to. One of the beauties of ER Shred, the genius of ER Shred, is that we're cleaning the body. We're having these aha moments. We're energetically changing. We're so excited. We're magnetic to other people. And as a result, they want to know what we're doing. And the business really isn't the business. It's just caring enough about other people and sharing your story when you're vibrating at a higher level, that it's naturally, it's like perpetual motion, because what happens when you share, you get gratitude, and gratitude is the highest vibration in this universe. and it makes you feel even better. So what do? You naturally go, oh my God. Now, Susan, is that dopamine, oxytocin, or serotonin hit when you get gratitude, or all the above?
It might be all the above. I mean, it would have to be oxytocin. That's the most powerful.
But when you get that hormone hit, right, that oxytocin hit, it's like, wow, what's the first thing the brain wants? They want more of it. So what do? You go out and you share again, and then you share again. And before you know it, you are going, oh my gosh, I have actually a stream of residual income. I guess I'm in business. And that's the beautiful thing we have here, because we've turned the corporate structure upside down. There are no glass ceilings. Everybody has the same opportunity. And again, the most important thing is being a nurturer, being empathetic, caring about others, and wanting to make a change in yourself first and foremost, so that you can be a better you. And in the process, we can change the world. Anyway, guys, this is the hot topic. We will do this again. Susan, Crystal, Karolyn, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And for those listening and on the recording, please chime in, write us notes, tell us if you love this, if you want more or less, please let me know, or the whole group collectively. And as a result, our bonfire is getting bigger and brighter. And I can't imagine what this next year will bring. We're just kind of in proof of concept. But now this is when the rubber hits the road. And I think we're going to see that explosive growth in our community. Guys, thank you. I'm going to open up the lines. Everyone unmute yourself. Share your thoughts for those that are participating.
This has been wonderful.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Good to see you, Brent. Glad everybody was here tonight.
Good night. Thank
Wait,
you,
wait,
guys. It was so
Wait,
fun. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
We'll see you in the
Thanks,
group.
Good night.
Thank you
Hey!
so much.
Thanks, Bob.
Oh, Brent's son is there.
Awesome.
Oh,
Take care, guys.
hi.
Bye-bye.